Okay, everyone. So let's continue with our accounts part. Okay. So in today's session, we will be starting a new chapter, that is Bill of Exchange. And Bill of Exchange is the first chapter for the second term syllabus. All right. So we have almost completed our first term syllabus. The only thing, only few chapters are left in that section, and that too are very theoretical. So we will be covering those chapter separately. But for the time being, because I need to start the second term syllabus, so I'm starting this uh, today. And from today onwards, we will be discussing about the second term syllabus only. So now let's now discuss about the bill of exchange. So before proceeding further in this chapter, I just wanted to know, do any one of you have any idea what is bill of exchange? Any person, anyone, Halima, Hamad, Junaid, Peer, Samiksha, Steve, anyone having any idea what is?
It's a legal document when we buy goods or sell goods on credit, so we give bill of exchange as an evidence.
Correct. It is a legal document. Correct. Okay. So the base. Can you also tell me the basic purpose of drafting the bill of exchange? What is the need to draw the bill of exchange?
Like, so we can sue if the debtor or creditor is not giving money, we can sue in court as well.
Okay. Correct. All right. Okay. Okay, everyone. So let's understand. First of all, let's start with the meaning of the bill of exchange. Now, right now, you won't be able to understand a lot of thing about the bill of exchange if directly start with the meaning. But let's look at the meaning of the bill of exchange first of all. So, bill of exchange is what? It is an instrument in writing which contains an unconditional order signed by the maker directing the person to pay a certain sum of money. All right. So basically, from the definition, it is clear that it is a kind of instrument, first of all. And this instrument contains what? It contains unconditional order. It contains order from the maker directing the other person to make the payment. So for the time being, just understand till this point only that it is a kind of instrument. It is made in writing, so it is a written instrument, and it contains a order from the person who is making this instrument. It is an order from the person who is making this instrument to the other person. And what kind of order it contains? It contains the order to make the payment of certain sum of money to him or to any person on who to any person whom he asks for the payment or he orders for the payment. So let me explain the concept of bill of exchange through a small example. Let me give an example on the note. Just a minute. Yes. Okay. So let's suppose there are two-person. Let's say there are two-person, Mr. X, and then there is Mr. Y. Okay, Mr. X is selling a particular commodity. Let's say he is a seller, and Mr. Y is the buyer of the commodity. For example, let's presume that Mr. X sells furnitures to Mr. Y. He sells furnitures to Mr. Y, and the value of these furniture is, let's say it is let's say 20,000. Okay. Now, usually what happens when we buy anything from some person, we make payment. And if the payment is made, that is called basically transaction is taking place on cash basis. But sometimes it also happens that at the time of purchase, we do not make the payment. We buy the goods on credit basis. That is what is happening in the question in this particular example, that Mr. X sold goods to Mr. Y, but Mr. Y is not paying the money at the moment of purchase. Basically, he's saying that he will pay money after, let's say, after the period of 2 months. He is asking for a 2 month credit period to make the payment. So after 2 months, payment will be made by Mr. Y for the furniture that he is buying today. let's say today is, let's say for example, okay, today is 29th, and he's promising to pay the value of the furniture, that is 20,000, after 2-month period. So he's basically asking for the grant of credit period of 2 months, after which he will be paying the value of the furniture. So in the accounting term, the person who is buying the good on credit is known as debtor. The person who is buying the good is a debtor. Okay. And the person from whom he is buying the good, from the buyer's point of view, he will be considered as a creditor. The person who is lending the furniture on credit basis, that will be the this person will be known as the creditor from buyer's point of view. And from the seller's point of view, to whom the goods has been sold on credit basis, this will be known as the debtor. Now, why what debtor is saying? Debtor is saying that I promise to pay 20,000 to you after a period of 2 months. Now, seller is saying, I don't believe you, and I want you to make the promise in writing. I want you to make me make a promise in writing. So what seller do? Seller basically prepares a paper. He basically prepares an instrument, and on this instrument, this seller writes that he writes that pay 20,000 to Mr. X on, let's say, date he's putting is 3rd of January, for example, 3rd January. Okay, so this instrument is written by whom? This instrument is basically written by the seller. And what seller is saying? Seller is basically, seller wrote this instrument, right? And seller, after writing this instrument, dispatch this instrument, give this instrument to Mr. Y, and ask him to sign this instrument. All right, basically this instrument is required to be signed by the Mr. Y. So basically, Mr. X sent this instrument to Mr. Y, asking him to please sign this instrument and stamp it. Stamp and sign the instrument. And after signing and stamping, please return this instrument. All right. So now this is sent to the Mr. Y. He will now stamp and sign the instrument and send it back to the Mr. X. Now Mr. X will be keeping this instrument for the next how many months? He will be keeping this instrument for next 2 months. Getting my point? Because see what buyer was saying. Buyer was saying that I am buying furniture and I want you to give me a period of 2 months, after which I will be making payment. Mr. X is saying that I don't believe you. What will happen if you don't make payment after 2 months? So if you make any default, I want you to make a written promise, so that in case of a default, I can take a legal action against you. So therefore, he made this instrument. He asked basically the buyer to sign this instrument, the debtor, and debtor will sign this instrument and send it back to the seller. Seller will be keeping this instrument now for the next 2 months. After 2 months, this instrument is called bill of exchange. After 2-month period, this bill of exchange get matured. Matured basically means that now the seller is now entitled to ask for the payment from the buyer, because 2 months has passed. Now this instrument will be presented for the payment to the Mr. Y, saying that you have drawn this instrument, you have signed this instrument 2 months back. Now it's 2 months. Now you will have to make the payment. So now Mr. Y will do? Mr. Y will receive this instrument. Okay, and against this instrument, he will make payment to Mr. X. He will make payment to Mr. X. So when Mr. Y receive this instrument and make payment, this is called bill getting honored. Bill, when the debtor makes payment for the bill, this is called bill is getting honored. So this is how everything happens in case of credit sales. So what happens? First of all, seller sold goods at a basically seller sold goods of rupees 20,000 to Mr. Y. Mr. Y, instead of making immediate payment, he's asking for the 2-month credit period. So what Mr. X does? Mr. X basically prepares a instrument which is called bill of exchange, and he asks the buyer to sign this instrument and stamp it and send it back to the seller. seller will be keeping this instrument for the next 2 months, and after 2 months have passed, seller will be presenting this instrument to the buyer for the payment, and once the payment is made, this is called the bill of exchange has been honored. So this is how things happen in the actual market. Tell me everyone, is this clear? Everything is clear?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, now let's also understand it again one more time through one example on the PowerPoint. So let's say this is, there is one seller, Mr. Ramesh, and he sells goods of rupees 5,000 on credit to this buyer, Mr. Rahul. All right. So Mr. Rahul is basically buying goods on credit of rupees 5,000. 5,000 is the goods that he is buying on credit, and because Mr. Rahul is buying goods on credit, so he will be called debtor, right? And now Mr. Rahul is saying that he promises to pay him money after 25 days, but because seller is of opinion that if he makes default after 25 days, he won't be able to take any action against Mr. Rahul. So he want Mr. Rahul to make a written promise. So he asked him to give written promise so that in case of default, he would be in a position to take legal action against him. Now, what Mr. Ramesh do? Mr. Ramesh prepares an instrument on which he writes that 25 days after the due date, pay Mr. Ramesh or his order the sum of rupee 5,000 only. And this instrument, after writing this instrument, he will send it to the buyer for acceptance. He will send this instrument to the buyer, that is to the debtor, for acceptance. Acceptance basically means the seller will ask the buyer or the debtor to sign this instrument and stamp this instrument if the stamp is available. So the buyer will be signing and stamping this instrument, and after signing and stamping this instrument, he will be returning it back. He will be returning it back to the seller. Now, when it comes back to the seller, this becomes a bill of exchange. Earlier, it was just an instrument. It was just a written piece of paper. Now it has been accepted and signed by the buyer. Now it becomes a bill of exchange. Is it clear, everyone? Till this point, any doubt?
No, sir.
Ahmad, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what will happen now after bill of exchange is received from the buyer? Now, seller will be keeping this bill of exchange for the next 25 days Now this instrument will be retained by the seller for next 25 days, right? And after 25 days, seller will be entitled to ask for the payment from Mr. Rahul. So once the 25 days are over, it is said that this bill gets matured. Maturity basically means that now the seller is entitled to ask for the payment against the instrument. All right. So after 25 days, when maturity date arrives, this instrument is presented to the debtor for the payment. So now this will be presented for the payment to the debtor. And after receiving this instrument, what will debtor do? Debtor will make the payment. Number one. Now he will make the payment against the instrument. And if debtor makes the payment against the instrument, this is known as honor of bill. Bill has been honored. If payment is made against the bill, that is called bill has been honored. Now, what will happen if he denies to make the payment? There is a possibility that he do not make the payment. There may be there could be any reason, but let's say if he's not making payment, then it is said that bill get dishonored. If he denies to make the payment on due date, then it is said that bill is dishonored. Tell me everyone, is this clear till this point? Any doubt you want to ask? Anything? Bill of exchange is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Halima, is this clear? Peer, is this clear? Steve?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's understand what are the important activities that is happening throughout the credit sale. First of all, what happens that the seller, and there is seller and buyer, obviously. Seller, what do seller do? Seller basically makes the credit sale, right? And for if it is a credit sale for the seller, it will be considered as a credit purchase for the buyer, right? So credit sale for the seller, credit purchases for the Rahul, for the buyer. Now after credit sale, what Mr. Ramesh do? Ramesh will be drawing an instrument. He will be drawing a bill of exchange on which he will be writing certain things, that pay 25,000 or 5,000, whatever the amount is, and then he will be sending it back, sending it to the buyer. So the second thing that will happen in the credit sale is the drawing of the bill of exchange. All right. Once the bill of exchange is drawn, it reaches the Rahul and it is sent to the Rahul for signing and stamping. So this process is called bill is accepted. If instrument is signed and stamped by Mr. Rahul, that will be called bill is accepted, acceptance of bill. All right. Now, in the third step, what will happen? Bill is received. That means buyer will send it back to the seller after signing the instrument. That is called bill received. And on the other hand, on the maturity date, Mr. Rahul will be paying the money. So this could be the first possibility, that Mr. Rahul makes the payment. If he makes the payment, this is called bill is honored. But if he denies to make the payment, then it will be called bill is dishonored. So on maturity, if bill is not paid, then it is called bill dishonored. All right. And finally, from the seller's point of view, the fourth activity is on maturity, payment is received. Tell me, all the activities are clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now guys, listen to me very carefully, that all of the activities that is taking place, we have to journalize these activities. We have to pass journal entries for every every activity that is taking place. If seller is doing the credit sale, we have to pass the journal entry. If the buyer is purchasing the goods on credit, we have to pass the journal entry. If bill is received, in that case also we will have to pass the journal entry. If on maturity date, buyer is paying the buyer is paying for the bill of exchange, then again we will have to journalize the entry. So for all the activities, we have to journalize the entry. So it is very important that you must understand these activities properly. All right. So just one more thing, that when bill of exchange is drawn by the seller, for this particular activity, no journal entry is required. But for other, let's say for when seller is doing the credit sale, it requires journal entry. When bill is received by the seller, that also requires journal entry. On maturity, when payment is received or bill get dishonored, in this case also journal entry is required. But when bill of exchange is drawn, because we are just drawing the instrument, right? And when bill of exchange is drawn, it does not require any journal entry. So there will be no journal entry for the second activity. For other activity, we will have to pass the journal entry. Now, because there are two different person involved, one is the seller and the one is the buyer. So basically, we have to journalize the entries. We have to enter the transaction in the books of two different person. We have to enter the transaction in the book of the seller, and we are also required to enter the transaction in the book of the buyer. All right, is this clear, all of you? Because there are two different person involved, seller and the buyer. Seller is the person who draws the instrument, so therefore seller is also called the drawer of the bill. And bill is drawn upon the buyer. Bill is basically drawn upon the buyer, then therefore it is called, buyer is called the drawee of the bill. So because there are two person, primarily drawer and the drawee, therefore we have to journalize, we have to enter the transaction in both the books, in the book of the drawer, in the book of the drawee as well. So how these transactions are journalized in the book of the drawer, first of all we will be discussing that. So first of all, journal entry in the book of the drawer. So if we are talking about drawer, that means we are talking about the seller, the person who draws the bill of exchange. So first of all, let's just discuss which kind of transaction requires the journal entry. So this transaction, when goods are sold on credit, this requires journal entry. First of all, credit sale requires journal entry. Journal entry will be passed for this transaction. Similarly, when bill of exchange is drawn by the seller, when bill of exchange is drawn by the seller. As I told you, this does not require any general entry, no general entry for this particular transaction, because there is no transaction. No, we are just preparing the instrument. So preparation of instrument does not require any general entry. Credit sales require general entry. Similarly, bill received, receipt of bill from the drawee. Drawee sending it back to the seller. Therefore, it also requires the general entry. General entry will be passed for this particular transaction as well. And similarly, on the date of maturity, when payment is received or payment is not received, if bill get dishonored, in that case also we will be generalizing the transaction. So out of all these activity, we have to generalize the transaction for all the activities except this, when bill of exchange is drawn. I'm currently talking about the book of the drawer, the person who draws the bill, that means the seller. Tell me, is this clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now the question arises, so what general entry will be done at the time of sale? So first of all, we have to generalize this transaction. No, credit sales. When seller is selling goods on credit basis, we have to generalize this transaction. So first of all, tell me everyone, in this particular, the example that we have taken, that there is a seller and then there is a buyer. The person who draws the bill is known as drawer. The person to whom bill is drawn is called drawee. So in simple term, we can say the drawee is the buyer and drawer is the seller, right? So in order to enter the credit sale in the book of the drawer, how will we will be entering, we will be generalizing the transaction. See, in order to generalize the transaction of credit sale, first of all, we will be generalizing the transaction of the credit sale, right? So in order to generalize this transaction, we will be writing drawing is account debit, drawee account debit to sales account. This means being goods sold on credit. So this is the general entry for the credit sale. So at the place of drawee account, there will be some name. If we are selling goods to Rahul, we will be writing Rahul's account debit to sales account. So this basically means that the name of the drawee will be written in the debit section, debit account debit to sales account. Tell me, is this clear, everyone? Credit transaction general entry for the credit sale is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone else, is this clear? Credit sales.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Guys, I want all of you to record all of these transactions, because these are very important, and this is we will be using these general entries in the upcoming questions. So I want all of you to write this down. After credit sale is done, after journalizing the transaction for the credit sale, the second activity was what? Second activity was bill of exchange is drawn by the seller, right? But now the seller will be drawing the bill of exchange, because as I told you, drawing a bill of exchange is does not require the journal entry. So there will be no need to pass a journal entry for this particular transaction, right? Is this clear, all of you? So bill of exchange is drawn by the seller. This does not require any entry. So no entry is required for drawing a bill of exchange. Is it clear, all of you? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Moving on to the third activity. In the third activity, what happens? We send the instrument to the buyer, and buyer, after signing and stamping the instrument, he send it back to the seller, the drawer. So when the instrument is sent back to the seller, when seller is receiving the instrument, he will be writing this is called the acceptance received. When buyer signs the instrument, stamp the instrument, and send it back to the seller, this is called acceptance received. And for acceptance received, we will be journalizing this transaction like this: bills receivable account debit to drawee account, because this instrument is coming in to the business, right? So instrument is a kind of debtor, it is a kind of asset. So therefore I am debiting the bills receivable account to from drawee. The bill is, we are receiving the bill from the drawee, therefore I am crediting the drawee account. So bills receivable account debit to drawee's account. Tell me, the journal entry for the third transaction is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt, Peer or
No
Samiksha?
doubt.
Okay. Let me know when you are done writing this. Let me know when you are done writing this.
Yes, sir. Done.
Okay. Now we have to journalize one more transaction that will be on the date of maturity when payment will actually received by the seller. In that case, we will be journalizing this transaction like this: cash account debit to bills receivable, because on the date of maturity we will be receiving the cash, right? We will be receiving the cash, and we will be receiving the cash against bills receivable. So bills receivable will now decline, the debtors will now reduce, the asset will now reduce. So therefore cash account is debited because we are receiving the payment, cash account will be debited and bills receivable will be credited. This journal entry will be done when payment against the bill of exchange is received on the maturity date. So this is the fourth journal entry. And it may also happen that on the date of maturity, bill is not honored. If the bill is not honored, in that case, we will be journalizing the transaction like this. If bill is not honored, we will be debiting the drawee account to bills receivable account. Drawee account debit to bills receivable account. Getting my point? If on maturity date bill is getting dishonored, bill is not honored basically means bill is getting dishonored. If bill is getting dishonored, in that case we will be journalizing the journalizing the transaction like this. Okay, drawee account debit to bills receivable. This proves that bills receivable dishonored. All of you are writing these journal entries, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sir.
You will find these journal entry easy once we start solving the question. For the time being, just try to understand what is happening in every journal entry. Let me recall it for you. Just a minute. Let me show you. In the first transaction, the first journal entry, we were recording the credit sale. Therefore, we have written drawee account debit to sales account. Then after credit sale, we have to draw the bill of exchange. For drawing bill of exchange, we are not required to journalize any transaction. Then for the third activity, that is acceptance, when acceptance is received by the seller, this is required journal entry. In that case, we will be writing bills receivable account debit to drawee account, right? And when payment is actually received, then we will be debiting the cash account against the bills receivable account. And finally, when the bill get dishonored, then in that case, we will again debit the drawee account and to bills receivable account. Okay, is it clear, all of you? Halima, P, Samiksha, and everyone else.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's move to the book of the drawee. Now let's talk about drawee's book. We have understood the various journal entry in the books of the drawer. So in the drawer book, we have to journalize the transaction for the credit sale. We have to journalize the transaction for the acceptance received, then payment received on the date of maturity, or bill getting dishonored on the date of maturity. All of these transactions have been entered in the book of the drawer. Now in the book of the drawee as well, we have to pass certain journal entries. For in the book of the drawee, that is buyer, we have to journalize the transaction for the credit purchase, right? We have to journalize the transaction for the credit purchase. We also have to journalize the transaction for the bills accepted, that is signed and stamped. And again, on maturity date, if bill is paid, this also requires journal entry. And if bill get dishonored, then also we will be required to pass the journal entry. So all of these activities require journal entry in the book of the drawing. Now, first of all, starting with the credit purchase. How credit purchases are recorded in the book of the drawing. So this is how credit purchase will be recorded in the drawing book, right? As usual, what do we write at the time when we buy goods from the seller on credit? What is the general entry for the credit purchase? So for credit purchase, we write purchase account debit to sales account. Sorry, purchase account debit to the seller's account, whatever the name of the seller is. So this time the seller is identified as a drawer. So purchase account debit to the drawer account. So in place of drawer, we will be writing the name of the seller. Like in this example, Ramesh was the seller, so we will be writing purchase account debit to Ramesh account. Tell me, the first transaction is first journal entry is clear to all of you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. For the second transaction, second activity, bill that is accepted. Now try to understand this. The bill which is basically drawn by the seller, it is an asset from the viewpoint of the seller. Therefore, it is called bills receivable. But bill once accepted by the buyer, it is not an asset for the buyer. It is a liability for the buyer. Therefore, once bill get accepted and stamped by the buyer, it becomes a bills payable. It is not bills receivable from the viewpoint of the drawing. It becomes a bills payable. So in order to generalize the transaction, in order to generalize this particular activity, in this step, we will be writing draws account debit to bills payable account. Draws account debit to bills payable account. Is it clear, everyone? Because it is a kind of obligation, it is a kind of liability for the buyer. Therefore, instead of writing the bills receivable, we will be writing the bills payable. And because bills payable is a liability, therefore I am crediting the bills payable account. Bills payable is a liability, therefore it will be credited. And because we have a liability towards the drawer, towards the seller, therefore I'll have to debit the draws account. So draws account debit to bills payable account. Tell me, is this clear? The transaction, the journal entry is clear to all of you. Are you guys writing this? No?
Yes, sir.
Samiksha, Halima, and everyone else.
We are.
So shall I move to the next slide or I should wait? Tell me, everyone.
We're done.
Done. Okay. Moving on to the next slide. Now we have journalized two activities, credit purchase and then bill accepted. And finally, can anyone tell me which journal entry will be done? Which kind of activity will be journalized now? Anyone?
Bill honored.
Bill honored, correct. If the payment is made by the drawee, in that case, on maturity, bill is paid, right? And if the bill is paid, Samiksha, can you tell me the journal entry for the payment of the bill? If bill of exchange is honored, what journal entry will be passed in the book of the drawee? Samiksha, are you there?
Yes, sir. 1 minute.
So because we will be paying the
Cash
paying,
account debited.
why cash account will be debited? Cash is not coming into the business. No, cash will be going out.
Yes.
Okay, so cash account will be credited, right?
Yes.
And liability will be decreasing. Bills payable will decrease, no?
Yes, sir.
So we will be writing bills payable account debit.
Yes, payable account debited to, debited to cash account.
Correct. This will be the journal entry, being payment made for the bills payable. Now, this is the journal entry bills if the bill of exchange is honored. But if what will happen if the bill of exchange is not honored, then in that case we will be writing bills payable account debit to. I'm sorry, I think I've copy pasted it. Okay. Okay, just do one thing. Let's skip the journal entry for the time being. I'll be correcting it. Then I'll show you in the next class. Is it clear, everyone? So right now, just leave it. So for the time being, just remember that there are only 3 transactions in the book of the drawing. First for the credit purchase, then bills accepted, then for the bill getting honored. Okay, is this clear, all of you? You want to ask anything?
No.
Okay, now let's also understand one more concept. That is the concept of due date. See guys, we will be journalizing the transaction of the credit sales. We will have to journalize all the transaction related to bill of exchange, but there is one more important thing in this particular chapter, that is the concept of due date. So due date is what? Due date is the date at which the payment for bill of exchange can be received by the seller. All right, so let's understand. Let me show you. Let me explain this on the PowerPoint, on this note. Just a minute. Okay. So due date is what? Due date basically means date at which payment can be received by the drawer. So the date at which drawer can ask for the payment, or you can say the seller can ask for the payment of the goods that he have sold on credit, that particular date is called the due date on which he can ask for the payment against the bill. All right, so usually let's say if I am drawing the bill of exchange on let's say on 1st of December, and I'm saying that I will pay you money after 2-month period, after the period of 2 months. Or let's say I'll pay you money after the period of 3 months. Okay, so that means, sorry, the bill has been drawn on the 1st December, right? And basically this is given to the buyer. Buyer is saying that he will be making payment after the period of 3 months. So any one of you can tell me what will be the due date for the payment. So the due date for the payment will be after 3 months of the date of drawing of the bill.
Yes, sir.
So 3 months will be from 1st December to 30th December. Sorry, 31st December will be 1 month, right? This will be counted as a 1 month. Then from 2nd December to, sorry, not 2nd December, I'm sorry. Then from 1st January to 31st January, it will be counted as 1 month again. And from 1st of February till 28th February, this will be counted as 3 months. Is that correct, everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Now see, if I'm saying that I'll ask for the payment after 3 months, if I have allowed 3-month period, that means that 3-month period will end on which date? 28. This is the first month, this is the second month, and this is the third month. Okay, so that means seller will be entitled to ask for payment on which date? Tell me, on which date seller will be entitled to ask for the payment? Samiksha, on which date seller will be entitled to ask for the payment?
1st March.
1st March he will be entitled to ask for the payment. That is what the due date basically means. This is the due date of the bill. But there is one problem with the due date. I'll be explaining more about this, but for the time being, just understand, I was actually trying to explain you what is actually the meaning of the due date is. But this is not the way due date is calculated. That is different. I'll be explaining that. But for the time being, just understand That due date basically means the date at which the payment for the bill of exchange can be asked, can be received by the seller. Now, in this chapter, this is not the way we calculate the due date. This is not the way we calculate due date. How due date is actually calculated, let me show you. First of all, if a bill of a particular bill has been drawn on 1st December 2021, then the due date for this kind of instrument will be on, first of all, in order to calculate the due date, we don't count the date of drawing. The date on which bill of exchange has been drawn, date of drawing is not taken into account. Date of drawing is not taken into consideration. So that means date will be counted from 2nd December. The instrument, the date on which instrument is drawn, that date is not counted to calculate the due date. So date will start from which date? Due date will start from the 2nd December to 1st January. This will be considered as the first month. Tell me everyone, is this clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So we will start counting from 2nd January, and a month complete always one day prior to the date from which it starts. So if it is starting from 2nd December, it will end on the 1st January. Similarly, then again, we will be calculating from 2nd of January, and second month will be counted till the 1st of February. This will be considered as the second month. Now, for the third month, 2nd Feb till the, till 1st of March will be taken as the third month. That means now, can anyone tell me now on which date I can ask for the payment? 3 month is completed on 2nd Feb. On which date I'll be able to ask for the payment? I'm entitled to ask for the payment. Tell me. On the 2nd Feb only, or on the next day? On the 1st March only, or on the next day?
2nd March, right?
2nd March, correct. 2nd March, I'm entitled to ask for the payment. So 2nd March, I'm entitled to ask for the payment. Now try to understand. 2nd March is still not considered as the due date. This is considered as the date of maturity. This is the date of maturity. I am entitled to ask for the payment of 2nd March, but this is not the due date. Due date, for calculating due date, we will be adding 3 more days of grace period. Grace period of 3 more days are added. Grace period of how many days? 3 days are added to this particular date. 3 days are added. So that means after 2nd, if we add 3 more days, this will be 2nd, then 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So that means I'm entitled to ask for the payment on 5th March. So this will be my due date. Tell me guys, is this clear, all of you? Due date will be 5th of March. Maturity date was 2nd March because I was entitled to ask for the payment on 2nd March. But legally, the person against whom the bill of exchange has been drawn, he is legally entitled to ask for the 3 days of grace period so that he can arrange funds. So 3 days of grace period is allowed to him. After adding 3 days to the maturity date, due date is calculated. Tell me, Peer, Halima, Muhammad, Junaid, Samiksha, Steve, is this clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So now let's get back to the PowerPoint. So that is what I was trying to explain you, that due date is the date of basically maturity date plus 3 days of grace. In case of bill of exchange, due date is the maturity date plus 3 days of grace. Now let's take an example again. And one of please any one of you can, if anyone can Any one of you can answer this. Please let me know. If a bill of exchange is drawn on 13th October 2021, then find the due date of the instrument. Anyone? Can anyone tell me? If bill is drawn on 13th October 2021, then what will be the due date of the instrument? Calculate it and please let me know. I'm allowing you 2 minutes.
2 months or 3 months?
3 months are there, no?
Okay. December 16.
Just a minute. I think I didn't mention the due the credit
Duration.
period, no? Okay, let me add the credit period also. Just a minute. Okay. So if a bill of exchange is drawn on 13th October, then find the due date of the instrument if credit period is 3 months. So if the credit period is 3 months, that means that we will start calculating from the 14th of October, right? And from 14th October till 13th November, 1 month will complete. Again, from 14th November till 13th December, 2nd month will complete. And from 13th December, from 14th December till 13th January, 3rd month will complete. So the maturity date is 13th January. Correct? Is this okay, everyone? Maturity date is 13th January. Now we will add 3 more days to this particular date. So 3 more days will be added. Now it will be 16th January will be the due date. Tell me, Samiksha, Halima, Peer, and everyone else. Is this clear, all of you? Hamad?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt, anyone? Junaid, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Samiksha, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's do few more questions based on the calculation of the due date. Let's start with this. So these are the different dates of bills. On the first bill has been drawn on the 1st December 2018, and the tenure of this particular bill is 60 days. For the second bill, the tenure is basically credit period is 2 months, then 1, then 2, and then 4. You need to calculate the value, calculate the due date. You need to find the due dates of these bills. Everyone, is this clear? All of you, the question is clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
In every bill, you need to find out the due date. So for the first bill that is drawn on the 1st December, due date, the credit period is 60 days. Calculate and let me know the due date. Okay. See, first bill is basically drawn on 1st December. 1st December 2018. On this date, we are drawing this first bill, and we need to find out the due date of this instrument. Okay, so first of all, we will.
30, 2019.
Okay, let me calculate and I'll answer that. So on first of all, we will start counting from 2nd December, right? From 2nd December till 31st December, it will be how many days? It will be 30 days.
Yes, sir.
Right? Total credit period is 60 days. No. Okay. Now from the 1st January till 30th January only. 60 days again. Sorry, not 60, 30 days. So the total credit period ends on 30th January. So this is the maturity date, correct? So maturity date will be 1st of February, correct? Now we will be adding 3 more days, 3 days to this. Tell me, when 3 more days are added, what will be the due date of the instrument?
2nd Feb 2009.
2nd Feb, correct. After 30th January, 3 more days will be added. So 31, then 1st Feb, then 2nd Feb. So the due date for this instrument will be 2nd February 2019. Is this clear, all of you? Hamad, Junaid, Alima, Samiksha, everyone else?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Junaid, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Calculate the due date for the second question, second bill. If bill is drawn on 30th April 2019. This time the credit period is 2 months. So we will start calculating from 1st May. So 1st May till 31st May, it is 1 month. Then June, from 1st June till 30th June, it will be 2 months. So the after 30th June, we will add 3 more days. So the due date of this will be
3rd July 2019.
perfect. 3rd July 2019 will be the due date for the second bill. Clear, everyone? Is this clear, all of you? Anybody having any doubt? Halima, Peer, Junaid, Hamad.
Clear, sir.
Okay. Let me, in fact, show you the solution of the question. Okay. So see, this is how it is calculated. For the first bill, tenure was 60 days. So this is how the calculation will be done. 30 days in the December, 30 days in the January. We will add 3 more days as a grace. So February 2nd will be the due date. Next, on April 30, we have drawn a bill. So 2 months will count after, we will start counting from the 1st of May. So the due date will be, after adding grace period, it will be 3rd of July. Now, next bill is drawn on the 20th January, and it is drawn only for a period of 1 month. So the 1 month will end on 28th February, correct? One month will complete on 28th February. After 28th February, we will be adding 3 days. So the due date will be March 3rd. Tell me, is this clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Junaid, Hamad, Peer, Halima, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, moving on to the 4th bill, November 23. So this time also, bill has been drawn for a period of 2 months. So we will start the calculation from 24th November. So from 24th November till 24th of December, 1 month will complete. From 24th December till 24th January, 2 months will complete. And after 24th, we will add 3 days, right? So, I'm sorry. So from 23rd, 24th, we will start counting, no? So from 24th November, 23rd December will be 1 month. From 24th December till 23rd January will be 2 months. And after 23rd January, we will be adding 3 days. So 23 plus 3, it will be 26th of January. Okay. Now see, 26th January is obviously a public holiday, right? According to India, it is basically it is a public holiday because it is a Republic Day. right? So therefore it is a national holiday. Therefore, the next immediate next day will be taken as a due date. Is it clear, everyone? If there is some national holiday, then that particular date is not considered as the due date. The immediate preceding day will be considered as the due date. So due date would be one day before January 26. That will be January 25 only. Tell me, everyone, is this clear? If a particular day on which due date is falling on, it is a holiday, then bill will be honored. Bill will be due. Bill will be due on the one day prior to the date of the due date.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now next, May, we have drawn a bill on 29th May for 4-month period, but the due date is falling on, again it is falling on the October 2nd, and October 2nd is also a holiday according to India. It is a Gandhi Jayanti. So therefore bill will be presented on the 1st of October. All right, everyone, I hope everything that we have done in this class is
Yes,
clear
sir.
to all of you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, guys, I'm giving you one question as homework. Please take the screenshot of this question. I want all of you to calculate the due date of all of these bills. And we will be discussing more about this particular chapter. We will discuss more about bill of exchange in the next class. We will be journalizing the transactions from the next class onwards. So I want all of you to cover the, basically, I want all of you to solve this particular question. All right. So this is it for today's class. I hope everything that we did in today's session is clear to all of you. So, okay, this is it. Thank you so much for attending the class. Bye for now. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you, sir.
Allah Hafiz.